Så hei sann alle sammen. Dagens webinar skal handle om California og studiemuligheter i The Sunshine State. I dag så har vi med oss representanter fra California State University Northridge og California State University San Marcos. Så webinaret i dag vil vare i cirka en time med spørsmål til slutt. Så hvis dere vil skrive på engelsk på spørsmålene, så hadde det vært supert. Så først skal jeg gå gjennom en kort introduksjon om hva SONOR og egentlig litt hva vi kan hjelpe med. Deretter skal vi gå gjennom noen ofte stilte spørsmål. Deretter skal vi ha en liten presentasjon hvor da Northridge og San Marcos skal gå gjennom litt diverse. Så skal vi til sist ha en Q&A. Så SONOR, hvem egentlig vi? Det kan hende at det noen av dere som allerede har vært i kontakt med SONOR, men for dere som ikke vet helt hva vi driver med, så vi egentlig kort beskrevet en gjeng med tidligere utenlandsstudenter som nå jobber med å hjelpe norske elever med å søke seg til studier i utlandet. Våre studieveiledere har studert i blant annet Storbritannia, USA, Australia, Mexico og Nederland, så egentlig med andre ord så kan vi gi de beste tipsene og dele veldig mye av våre erfaringer. Så vi har samarbeid med universiteter i 5 engelskspråklige land. Det vi USA, Storbritannia, Singapore, Australia og New Zealand. I tillegg til at vi også hjelper med opptak til medisin- og tannlegestudier i Sentral-Europa. Men det altså USA vi skal fokusere på i dag. Så vi hjelper jo deg med å finne et universitet, basert på dine ønsker og din bakgrunn. Og all hjelp som du får av oss gratis og uforpliktende. Så du får blant annet utdelt en personlig veileder, og vi kan hjelpe deg med valg av universitet og grad, selve søknaden når det kommer til det, stipender og alt annet økonomisk, og alt av praktisk informasjon for avreise. Det kan gå på lånekassen, visum, bolig, og så videre. Så jeg tenkte først å fortelle litt om meg selv. Jeg har egentlig alltid elsket USA. Og min fascinasjon egentlig med USA begynte i veldig tidlig alder, og jeg var egentlig fast bestemt på at jeg bare måtte dra til USA. Så min første tur ble jo da i 2. klasse på videregående, da jeg dro på utveksling til Montana og bodde der i et år. Så det noen fine bilder derfra. Så etter det så besøkte jeg vertssøsteren min da hun hadde begynt på college i USA, og da var jeg overbevist, da var det ikke noe mer som trengtes for å overtales. Så jeg elsket egentlig følelsen som jeg fikk. Det var en slags frihet, det virket så gøy å bo i dorms, og alle som jeg snakket med, de viste en slik sånn school spirit, som de kaller det, og stolthet over skolen som de gikk på. Så med en gang jeg kom hjem fra denne turen, så kontaktet jeg faktisk SONOR, så jeg fikk hjelp av de til å søke meg ut på en universitet som egentlig hadde alt det som jeg var ute etter. Det var faktisk Eastern Connecticut State University, en munnfull, der jeg tok en double major i sosiologi og kriminologi. Så etter det så bestemte jeg meg egentlig for å prøve noe helt nytt, og begynte på en 1-årig mastergrad i Storbritannia, og ja, turen gikk da til University of Bristol, som også et av våre samarbeidsuniversiteter. Så jeg tenkte at vi skulle gå gjennom litt ofte stilte spørsmål som vi i SONOR får. Først og fremst så det jo på dette med lånekassen og økonomi, og da svaret at ja, Lånekassen støtter egentlig alle våre universiteter, og aller fleste grader. Så det også litt på pris. Jeg skjønner jo at det kan være gode spørsmål om det, men pris på studiet varierer ut ifra lengde, grad og egentlig selve universitetet man begynner på. Litt vagt, men det sånn det Kan ta litt mer spesifikt hvis det kommer til det. Så det også spørsmål om engelsktest, og da det da som regel 4 eller bedre engelsk. Kan gi fritak på engelsktest, selv om noen universiteter krever dette. Så de ulike universitetene har også forskjellige søknadsfrister, så jeg vil anbefale folk, hvis de interessert i å søke, ta kontakt med oss, så kan vi informere litt om det egentlig, og de ulike søknadsfristene. Så nå i disse koronatider så det jo også naturlig at man har litt spørsmål rundt dette med reise, og sånn som ting ser ut nå, så det mulighet for å reise til Storbritannia, Singapore, USA og EU-land, selv om det mange universiteter som per i dags dato har nettundervisning. Grensene til både Australia og New Zealand stengt, men det sånn sett mulig å utsette studiestarten hvis du ender opp med å søke, eller så kan man også starte studiene sine online. Men tilbake til USA. Vi samarbeider jo med universiteter i hele USA, både på østkysten og vestkysten. I dag så skal dere høre mer om California, så ligger hvor pilen viser på USA sin vestkyst. Så det vil si der. California ligger jo som sagt på den vestkysten i USA, og har landegrense i sør til Mexico, mens nabostatene inkluderer Arizona, Nevada og Oregon. Jeg tenkte også at jeg skulle nevne litt om oppbyggingen av en amerikansk grad. En bachelorgrad 4-årig, mens en mastergrad 2-årig. Ved noen universiteter så det derimot mulig for norske studenter å fullføre en bachelorgrad på 3 år. Så på bachelornivå så de 2 første årene veldig fleksible, hvor du kan utforske og velge blant en del ulike fag, noe som ofte blir kalt general requirement, mens de 2 siste årene av bachelorgraden består av selve hovedspesialiseringen, der du virkelig går i dybden på ditt fagområde. Dette basert på en oppbygging som ofte blir kalt liberal arts, som fokuserer på at man skal få bredt med kunnskap i løpet av graden sin, og vite egentlig litt om mye, eller litt om det meste. I tillegg da til fagområdet som man vil ta bachelorgraden sin i. Så faget man tar bachelorgraden i blir kalt major, som betyr hovedspesialisering, mens en minor betyr underspesialisering. Så jeg tenkte jeg skulle bare nevne litt kort. Det mange som velger å gå de første 2 årene, de som jeg nevnte som var litt sånn generelle, ved noe som heter community college, for å egentlig unnagjøre litt de lette fagene og mer generelle fagene, og spare penger, og deretter ta og søke om overføring eller transfer til et annet universitet. Men dette skal jeg gå nærmere inn på i et annet webinar, så det bare å melde seg på. So now it's time for the presentation with Boris from Northridge and Grant from CSU San Marcos. Hold on. Hello.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. Looks like we have around 15 students who could join us today, or prospective students.
And it's dinner time right now where you guys are. So thank you for letting us interrupt your meal time potentially.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and spending some time with us today. Welcome from sunny California. Grant and I are both sitting right here in, well, on the West Coast, I should say. It's a cool 16 degrees Celsius and sunny outside. Grant can actually show it. I can't. I'm sitting in my little, apartment here at home. But let me first.
At my window here. There we are.
So that's typical California weather right there.
All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. So my name is Boris Polutek, and I'm the Outreach and International Programs Manager here at California State University, Northridge. And Grant, if you would like to introduce yourself real quick as well.
So my name is Grant Parsons, and I'm the director of what's called the American Language and Culture Institute at California State University, San Marcos in North County, San Diego region. And we do a lot of international programs here and a lot of stuff with the domestic students as well. Good morning.
Awesome.
Good
Perfect.
evening.
Thank you. And I should have moved, sorry guys, I should have moved this forward. So this is where we are, who we are and where we work. And yeah, in the course of this presentation, you will learn a little bit more about our universities, of course. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us at the end during the Q&A. I think you do have the option to unmute yourself and to talk. If you have anything urgent that pops into your mind, just make sure to use the chat box, and you can maybe type your question so you don't forget it. We can maybe even answer it live. So moving forward, we're very easygoing. Again, very happy to have you here and to let you know a little bit more about studying in LA and San Marcos. All right, let's move forward. So where are we? What do we do? What is all the information that you need? First of all, we are part of the California State University System, or CSU. That is actually the largest public university system in the United States. So even larger than the public university system in the state of New York. So we consist out of 23 different campuses throughout California. And these are those campuses. So you can see 23 different campuses in Northridge and San Marcos. We are right here, if you take a look at California, we are in the southern part of California. So of course, Northridge, we're just in the northern part of Los Angeles, in the city of Los Angeles, within city limits. And then San Marcos is right in between Los Angeles and San Diego, a little bit closer to San Diego in a more suburban environment. I'll first talk about CSUN. Regarding our university, we are a big public university. We are one of the top 3 largest universities in the CSU system. So we have about 40,000 students. So if that's something that you're looking for, we are a school for you. So basically a big school in an urban environment. As I mentioned before, we are located in the northern part of Los Angeles. Right here, you can see some distances to nearby locations. I know it says kilometer, but honestly, here in LA, we always, use just how many minutes does it take to drive somewhere. So that's usually what you will see in terms of, distance. We don't really work with kilometers, not even with miles, honestly. It's more like, hey, how long does it take me to get from CSUN to Universal Studios? 20 minutes. All right, cool. How long does it take me to get to Santa Monica and to the Santa Monica beach and the pier? About 30 minutes. So that's just how we work. It's very common in LA. It always depends on traffic. Right now, we don't have as much traffic, but long story short, CSUN is located very centrally within Los Angeles. Very easy to get to places, very easy to get to. The Los Angeles International Airport is not too far away, about 30 minutes driving on the 405. I myself have done that trip from LAX to Oslo, that flight. So yeah, it's very easily reachable. So it's definitely one of the plus sides for both of our universities, actually. As you can see, a couple of things around here are, Santa Monica, I mentioned that, Disneyland, of course, Hollywood. So there's a lot of things that you can see. I'm sure most of that you have seen already in the movies, or from movies. A little bit about CSUN itself. So as I mentioned, we're a big urban campus, 40,000 students. Out of those 40,000 students, we have around 3,000 international students from more than 100 different countries. And those students can study a lot of different things. We call ourselves a comprehensive university. So that means you can study at 8 different academic colleges. So a lot of things that you can do, from engineering, computer science, to liberal arts, to cinema and television arts. We are very close to what we call here in California the industry, right? So Hollywood and all of that, so super close by, and we have a great CTVA program as well. Then our students can study more than 60 undergraduate majors and more than 70 master degrees. We also can study 3 doctoral degrees, but they're usually not as popular or accessible to international students. So just a quick FYI. And we also have a very active and vibrant student life. CSUN itself, we ranked, I think this year, the 21st among the, we're 21st among the top public schools in the Western United States. That's in our category, so that's per US News Report. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, what we do, we are big on sustainability. Our business college is ASCSB accredited. Our engineering college and computer science college is ABET accredited. We are a top 25 music program school. We do have a top 25 film program. And we were recently ranked by Forbes as one of the top 10 schools in the nation for value. So just a couple of stats and facts. I mean, that's a slide, that's why I'm throwing it out there. Moving on, student life and campus life. So of course, for you as an international student from Norway, you want to know, hey, how does it feel like to be on campus? What does it mean to be actually studying in California, in Los Angeles? How does that look like? So let me give you a little bit of an idea when it comes to facilities and to things that you can do on our campus. First off, we do have more than 300 clubs and organizations that you can join as an international student. So what that means is these organizations can be, let's say, a typical student club where students get together and learn something or converse about a certain topic. Let's say there's a math club, there's an engineering club, there is an international student club, of course, on our campus. So you can meet other students and get engaged on campus this way. Organizations also could be the typical Greek life, fraternities, sororities. So we do have that on at CSUN as well on our campus, a very active Greek life as well. So just a couple of examples. If you do not find, for whatever reason, something that you're interested in, you can even found your own international or your own club, for example, and meet students who are interested in that same topic, subject, whatever it might be. Can be social, can be a sport, really anything you can think of. Now, for our campus itself, our campus is a little bit bigger than Disneyland, and a lot of people don't realize that. I'm not sure if any of you have had the chance yet to come visit California and to check out Disneyland down in Anaheim. Very cool place. So our campus is a little bit bigger than Disneyland itself, so it's a big campus. Specifically in the first 2 weeks when you start studying, it can be easy to get disoriented a little bit on our campus, but no worries. There are always very friendly students who will help you out find your way. So just, don't worry about that too much, but just letting you know, big campus. But good thing about our campus being big is we do have a lot of facilities for our students, and we have a very holistic approach towards our students. That means we don't only care about your academic well-being, but also about your mental and physical well-being. So what do I mean by that? Well, right here on that slide, you can see the Student Recreation Center. That's a very fancy word for gym that we have on our campus. It's a 3-story building. I think it's about 5 to 6 years old by now. It has an indoor track ring for the very rare instance that it should rain in California. Just as an FYI, here in Southern California, we have about 360 days of sunshine, usually year-round, where you at least are able to glimpse the sun, and generally very little rain. And the raining season is usually during winter time, so the most rainy months are, I believe, in January and February. So just keep that in mind. What you can do there is you can work out, you can attend classes, you can check out our big climbing wall that we have. It's 3 stories high. You can join classes such as yoga, meditation, kickboxing. So it's a really cool place where you can socialize, work out together. Then also we do have a Oasis Wellness Center. So an Asus Wellness Center, that is our spa on our campus. I kid you not. It's really cool. It's a great place to go to for students to de-stress and to deal with any, let's say you have an exam coming up, any type of anxiety. There are napping pots available. You can go into our meditation garden, do some yoga, or you can get a massage. There are massage chairs available. You can get nutritional advice if you want to clean up your eating. So a really cool place to visit and to enjoy. And all of that, before I forget, it doesn't cost you anything additional. So for students, for CSUN students, all of that is included. It's not an additional cost. You don't have to spend an additional money amount on just visiting or going to the gym or the Oasis Center. Last but not least, we also do have a regular health center with medical staff available on campus. So if you need to go there, if you feel unwell, you can get taken a look at. And if it's something serious, you can be referred to the next nearest hospital. And we also do have an Advisement Hub, a Matador Advisement Hub. Maddie the Matador, that's our mascot, in case why you're wondering, Matador, where does that come from? So that's just our mascot. And yeah, so academically you will be taken care of. Specifically as an undergraduate student, you will not be left alone. There's a lot of guidance available to you and a lot of resources. So yeah, that's a little bit about our campus. I hope that was useful. And these are just a couple of campus impressions. So how does it look like in pictures? More pictures, what can you do? We do have more than, I think we have 8 different swimming pools available on our campus. One is recreational, so students go there, organize swimming pool parties during the summer, during the fall, and sometimes even during spring, because the weather year-round is usually very good. Beach volleyball is available right in our student housing. There's a housing community center where you can hang out with other students, play PlayStation, work on stuff if you wanted to, play ping pong. We do have 17 NCAA Division I sport teams. So if you're interested in basketball, in soccer, these events do take place on campus as well. And, you know, we do have a school spirit here at CSUN, so it's really very, very neat. And of course, in case if you get hungry, you can also visit our dining hall, and there are plenty of places on campus where you can go and eat. Now, just mention it briefly, student housing. We do have on-campus housing available to you. That is our only housing option, and that housing option is usually shared, a shared apartment style housing. How that works is you have 4 students, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. That's how our housing is set up on our campus, and it's super convenient. It's fully furnished. It includes Wi-Fi, cable TV. You can do your washing your clothes, laundry, parking facilities. There's resident support staff. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's a housing community center where you can hang out and socialize with other students. And it is very safe, very convenient. It's literally walking distance to your classroom. So you can roll out of bed if you had a long night, and then go ahead and just head to your classroom right away. So it's very safe, very convenient. And a lot of people are very envious because sometimes it takes some time to get from place A to place B here in Los Angeles driving. So just keep that in mind. All right, so looks like I already spoke for 13 minutes. Where did the time go? Let me move through the rest of the presentation. Famous alumni. Guys, I don't know how many of those you will recognize. I am betting 2, most likely 2. If you are into music, most likely 3. And then we have one that you probably don't know as much about. So let me really quickly go over these. Eva Longoria, Desperate Housewives. I think most of you will probably recognize her. Alison Hannigan. Same thing, I think she played in American Pie, and she also did How I Met Your Mother, so you probably know her from there. And then Serge Tankian is the System of a Down lead singer. So if you know System of a Down, he also went to CSUN. So these are just a couple of famous alumni. And then we have David Nazarian. He is actually a businessman, investor, and philanthropist, very well known here in the Los Angeles area. And he attended our business college as well. So actually our business college is named the David Nazarian College of Business and Economics. Let's get into the nitty-gritty super quick. I know this can be a little bit more boring, more technical, so I'll be quick. If you are interested in undergraduate studies as a first-time freshman, these are the application requirements you need to fulfill. You should have, of course, graduated already from your high school. You should have a high school diploma already in your pocket. You should have good grades. And that's, again, for first-time freshmen, you should have a 3.0 GPA. So that's a B average. So on a 4.0 grading scale. And of course, you need to fulfill the English proficiency. For us, that is a minimum TOEFL score of 61, IELTS score of 6.0. We also accept Duolingo, if you like Duolingo. Specifically right now, it's a bit more difficult to take those English exams and English tests. So Duolingo might be a good option for you. The minimum score for undergraduate is 95. You also do GTech, ICANN, Cambridge. You see all the scores here. And I'm sure we can share the presentation with you once we're done presenting. In order to submit your application, the California State University system has set application times and application windows. That means for the spring semester, so let's say for the spring 2021 semester, the application will close very soon on October the 31st. Application opens on August the 1st of the previous year. So August the 1st to October the 31st for the spring semester, which starts by the end of January. For the fall semester, which begins usually by the end of August, mid to end of August, the application window is October the 1st, so it's currently open, all the way to May the 31st of next year. So that is for 2021. You have until May the 31st of 2021 to apply and submit your application. However, don't do it last minute. The sooner you apply, the earlier you have an admissions decision. Also, it helps you with planning. So I can only highly recommend that if you're interested to start in fall of 2021. Online application, everything is online, $70 application fee, and there are the items that you need to submit. You do not have to provide us with an SAT or ACT score. That is optional. If you happen to have one and it's a good score, submit it. We'll definitely make your application stronger, but it's not a requirement for international students. and then of course a copy of your passport information page, just to make sure that we can verify your identity and for our international admissions. For graduate admissions, applicants should have, of course, already a bachelor's degree. So very important, 4-year bachelor's degree. And then the GPA requirement honestly varies by program. So we have more than 70 master programs. They do have different GPA requirements. It really depends. It can be as low as 2.5. Some more competitive programs, such as the Master in Computer Science, will have a GPA requirement of 3.0 or sometimes even higher. It depends on how the applicant pool looks like. And then also a lot of our graduate degrees do have additional departmental requirements. Now, it sounds complicated. Honestly, all you got to do is talk to SONOR, talk to us, take a look at our website. It's all publicly available information, www.csun.edu, where you can take a look at the program that you're interested in. And then do your own research. You may have to submit a letter of recommendation, your resume. You may have some work experience. For example, for our MBA program, you will have to have 1 year of work experience and also provide a GMAT score. Generally speaking, GMAT and GRE, these are standardized tests. You will have to provide them for certain master and graduate programs. And again, the score depends and varies on the program, and whether or not there's a GRE or GMAT waiver also depends on each respective program. Long story short, ask us. If you're interested in master programs, just get back to us and we'll be able to send you all the necessary information. Minimum English score here is TOEFL 79, IELTS 6.5, or Duolingo of 105. Sometimes these can be a little bit higher depending on the program. Let's see. Okay, I have 2 minutes to go. Sorry, guys. Semester at CSUN. All right. One last thing. Now, if you are, and we have had actually a few students from Norway who took our semester at CSUN program. This is a program if you just really want to get the typical American campus experience. We do offer that for spring and for fall each year. The next available start date actually due to COVID-19 will be fall of 2021 that you can apply to. And this is a program where you can just study for 1 or 2 semesters and get the typical American campus experience. You can choose your classes. You know, of course, if you have no background whatsoever in computer science and you want to take a high-level computer science or engineering course, that might be a little bit tricky. But overall, you can choose classes that you'd like to enroll into. You can pick and choose from different departments. So it's definitely a great opportunity for you if you're looking to just experience something else and maybe take a few classes that you are unable to take in Norway. But ultimately, this program is aimed at you studying for 1 or 2 semesters and then continuing your studies at your respective university back home. It does Lånekassen, by the way. I know that this is sometimes a question that you may have. That program also is good if you are a Lånekassen student and on Lånekassen funding. So we've had a few Norwegian students who did that as well. Minimum GPA here, 2.0, be at least 18 years old and you're good to go. And again, if you have any questions, if you need any other information, just let me know. All right, attractions near Northridge. I am sure you know most of these. Beverly Hills, Santa Monica Pier. I myself live in Santa Monica. I'm about 5 to 10 minutes away from the Santa Monica Pier. It's a really cool place to live. Universal Studios, you know, you can go surf and snowboard in the same day, during the same day. It's really, California and Los Angeles is really a cool place to be. My time is up. Last slides. Okay, I'll skip through this. This is an embedded video. Maybe share the presentation with you. You can take a look at that video. It doesn't work that well through Zoom, so I'll not even give it a try. But here, a couple of attractions that you will find in California as well are national parks, right? If you are looking at California, it's a beautiful state, the most populous state in the United States, but there's also a lot of nature around. So you can check out Redwood National Park up in Northern California, just north of San Francisco. San Francisco, another great destination that you can, that you should absolutely take a look at. Napa Valley, if you like to try some good wine. The big Sur Coastline, if you make your way up from Southern California to the northern part, do take the big Sur Coastline Drive. It is beautiful. It's the highway #1, the PCH. It's just really breathtaking and great views that you will see. I did that last fall, and I actually saw a whale right off the coast while it was on the drive itself, and you actually a pod of whales that was down in the water. So it's really cool, and that's stuff that you do get to see. You just need to get out there. Santa Barbara is another good one. The Hearst Castle, Lake Tahoe. Again, you can go skiing, you can go surfing in the same day. Las Vegas, of course, if you want to head to Nevada, that's about 4 hours away from Southern California. I'm sure I missed a lot, but if you have any questions, we can go through that at the Q&A, and I'll hand it over to Grant. Thank you so much for your attention. And Grant, please go ahead and take it away. Thank you, guys.
Oh my gosh, Boris, you did all the heavy lifting, because most of that admissions stuff was I think, yeah, because we're similar enough to, I think that kind of gets down to what similar admissions criteria. So, and I didn't know you had a massage room there on your campus. That's not, we don't have that in San Marcos. But so my name is Grant Parsons. Good evening to you. Thanks for being here. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about San Marcos, California, which is south of where Boris is. It's we're the second southernmost California State University in a kind of different location. So that's why I'm glad that I'm here presenting with Boris. Both of our campuses offer something different within that Southern California region. So San Marcos in North County, San Diego was voted a best suburb. And I'll go a little bit into that because suburban areas aren't always considered the coolest, but we're getting pretty cool. And it's a growing college community and a developing city. Seem to be the hub, the business work play hub of the North County area that is developing very strategically and in association with the university itself, which only began in 1989. So out of those 23 California State Universities, we're like a teenager. We're like one of those rebellious teenagers that is trying new things and learning as we go. Best climate, that is quite a presumptuous statement, but the weather's fairly nice here. San Diego is probably one of the most famous places in the US for temperate weather. So that leads to a lot of outdoor activities. As Boris mentioned, Southern California, you got the beaches nearby, you got the mountains and desert, and lots of tourist attractions, everything from world famous safari parks to museums to fancy restaurants, gastropubs. And the craft beer industry is blowing up here in San Diego. It's quite a big export, and it's developing a lot of new startups in the area. Okay, Boris, yeah, that's right. I was clicking and I was like, what's wrong with my computer? Okay, yeah, next slide, thank you. So where is San Marcos, California? Good question, because if you Google San Marcos, you might come up in Texas. And Texas is a state that's very different from California, and that's not what you're attending this webinar from. This is San Marcos, California is in North County, San Diego. You can see a nice little visual representation here between Los Angeles and San Diego, about a 45-minute drive to San Diego from the airport, and that's with a little bit of traffic. And then to Los Angeles, Boris and I were talking about this yesterday, in pandemic times, you can get there maybe in about an hour and a half. But you know, as you mentioned, traffic into LA and out of LA can be a little bit of a challenging one. You can take the train too. You can take which is highlighted at the bottom, the coaster takes you to LA, and it can take you pretty much all over California, actually, for that matter, the United States. Not the most advanced train system as Europe would be, I'd say, more advanced, but it's very vintage. It's a vintage train system. But in San Marcos, on that development side, we do have a light rail line called the Sprinter, and it's not a bullet train. I'll tell you that. Some students have come to, oh, I thought this was a bullet train, but this is a light rail line that connects to the beach in Oceanside to the west coast. It takes about 30 minutes by the Sprinter, and it takes you to the Oceanside Transit, and you're right next to the beach, and a cool surf town called Oceanside, equipped with a surf museum and a real diverse unique community. And then you got the bus that takes you, the bus can connect you to downtown San Diego if it connects with the light rail. So you don't necessarily need a car. But as this city grows, we're working a lot on making everything bike and pedestrian friendly. So you don't really have to get a car. Most students will find some kind of time to rent a car if they're going to do one of those trips to those fabulous locations across California that Boris shared, and some might just buy a used car. I'm always impressed with how students find the resources and the means to deal with that kind of cultural transaction of buying a car. And so the weather is between 15 to 25 degrees Celsius pretty much year round. It's not a guarantee. Last spring we did have a rainier spring. We had some students say, "Hey, you said that it was going to be sunny all the time." But for the most part, it's temperate weather. I mentioned, you know, the safari park is a part of the world famous San Diego Zoo, and that's in Escondido. And then we got some real nice beaches. The closest one and my favorite one is pictured here, and I'll talk about this place in a little bit. It's in Encinitas, and it's called Moonlight State Beach, and we do our annual beach picnic there. We pretty much do one trip there a semester with a group of students, and it's right on the Pacific Coast Highway 1, and it's a lot of shops just in walking distance. It's a fantastic time. Go ahead, Boris, take me to the next slide. So there's Encinitas. Encinitas is about 15 minutes away from here, from campus. It has a distinctive surfer town feel. It's credited as being where yoga came to the United States on the West Coast, and right there on the coast is a place called the Self-Realization Center, where Yogananda Paramahansa came many years ago in like the 50s, and he became quite a guru in the area. And so that kind of speaks to the climate and the culture of the area. There's a lot of spirituality, non-denominational kind of spirituality going on there. And then you walk a little bit down, and then you have Swami's Beach, which is the picture there with the surfer. And it's a world famous, quite a challenging surf spot. I can never do it. I like to watch people do it. And if you are a surfer, I know some students do try to surf out there to test their abilities. So that's Encinitas. And next slide. So where's San Marcos, and what's San Marcos known for? San Marcos is a relatively new and developing suburban and college town. The university started in 1989. We got a mid-sized population. So this is a much smaller pond of students, if you will, 17,000 students, and growing a little bit each year, but we will stay about that size for the foreseeable future. One important point here is the 85% of our students who graduate stay in the area. One of the purposes of the whole Cal State system is to feed the regional workforce in the area, in the regions. And so that's really a strong number of students that stay here, and in a developing region, it's employing a lot of the workforce. So students who are getting their bachelor's degrees, taking even those undergraduate courses, is building this transferable skills to be employed or get an internship. You know, many of our students are doing these internships before they graduate. Case in point, I think the next slide might be it, Boris, yeah. So in the top left there, Viasat, that's a global telecom company that has donated and essentially began our new School of Engineering that just began in software engineering and electrical engineering. So that's just one example of an investment for our knowledge economy in the region to have people be able to work. And so that can translate to OPT assignments, work authorizations once you graduate or complete your program. And this is just not only the scenic beauty of San Marcos in the area we are, but also just the thriving industry and the kind of growth and entrepreneurship and startups. Through these, you could see biotechnology and the life sciences. I think the next slide shows just a quick example of that, but oh no, it doesn't actually. You can go back. I think I took that slide out. That was too, so, but then you have action sports is a big field here with Callaway is golf, but then you also have GoPro in Carlsbad. They have a real awesome headquarters that our students get invited to go to through a software architect there that we have a relationship with. And I wish they would give us complimentary GoPros because those are nice. And I know that Norway is big into hiking and outdoors activities. So those GoPros are great at capturing those. And then down below is Stone Brewing. That's, again, I mentioned beer. It seems a little uneducational to mention that, but it really is a growing, you know, trade, and students are learning the chemistry of beer, just like wine and the wine business, the viticulture in Sonoma in Northern California. Beer is becoming, we have an engineering certificate that we started a couple of years ago. And that's everything, the business side, the branding, a very comprehensive approach to beer and how it's made. And Stone Brewing does they used to do an invitational on our campus every summer, but they've since done that off-site. So, and then Legoland, so that's hospitality, tourism. There's some opportunities there at the California resort. We know Legoland's not from the United States, but they have their California resort in Carlsbad, which is in North County, San Diego. All right, next slide. Okay, back to the suburbs. So Business Insider ranked as one of the best. I think there were 3 others in California, and that's based on crime rate, so safe place, good quality of life for the residents and the students, and yes, school district scores, which includes our higher education system. So it's a real great community to be in. A lot of you could feel this community. Some people just say it's nice. People are nice, and that's a big generalization, but I moved here 7 years ago from Northern California, and I've really felt it. So, okay, next slide. Here's a snapshot of our bachelor's courses. And I know this, I told Boris this is kind of an awkward slide because there's a lot to read here. But what I want to say is, because this comprehensive list of courses is there, sometimes you might have a specific emphasis in something that you may not recognize as having a link to one of these majors. But get in contact with SONOR or us, or we usually triangulate. And usually we can find something, or we can do a deeper dive into what the course catalog offers and what might be offered in the semester that you plan on coming. And it's kind of a conversation piece. So that's all I'll say about that. Bachelor's degree admission. So if you're looking for a degree program, this is pretty much the same as you, Boris. I think the only difference is the English language scores. So we do accept the TOEFL score of 61, but there's kind of minimum subscores. So minimum subscore in writing of 19 and no score below 14. And then IELTS 5.5, yeah. And I think your advisors will have these on hand. The one thing I'll mention though is we do have a lot of flexibility with our the English language program that I also manage. We have our own assessment that the university accepts for waiver. And so sometimes if you don't want to have to take another test, and in a lot of cases, it gives us a lot more information about your English abilities rather than getting a paper printout of your score. So I'll say that. Oh, another thing about bachelor's degrees, just so you know, is that if you're looking to take a bachelor's program, CSU SM accepts transfer credits from upper secondary schools in Norway. So we've done this for several students, and they're basically counted towards your degree, your bachelor's degree, course by course. We do a match. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's certainly worth it because it speeds up your time to graduation. All right. Okay, not so many master's degrees, but the ones that we do have, we've actually had a SONOR student take the 1-year MBA, and he just graduated. And in a second, he gave me permission to share his LinkedIn. So he also can speak to the services of SONOR, which he had a fairly positive experience. So there's that. And yeah, computer science is one. The admission this is just listen to what Boris said. He said it expertly. Master's courses it's a little bit more of a multiple step process because you apply to the graduate school, then you apply to the graduate program. Each one is a little different. The TOEFL score is 80, the IELTS score is 6.0, but again, we have that English, CSU SM English assessment. So I think I probably have to do a better job of letting SONOR know about this CSU SM's English placement exam. So yeah, that's that for the degrees. What do we got next here? And then housing. So we have on-campus housing. Sounds very similar, if not identical to what Boris described. It's an apartment suite. So it's not like where I went to college and you shared a bathroom with 30 other males on your floor. You have a variety of different floor plans. You could have a single if you want, if you don't want to have a roommate that snores or you're worried about that. You have a shared, there's large shared, there's small shared, lots of it has a kitchen so you can buy your groceries if you prefer to cook. And we were supposed to have a new dining commons that was going to open this fall. Plans have changed a little bit, but that's forthcoming. Maybe in the time that you might study abroad, it might be open. And then the next one I believe is Homestay. So Homestay is for two reasons I recommend it. One is it tends to be the most economical, being that it includes a monthly price that includes all your meals except lunches Monday through Friday. And the other thing is, if you're looking for a guaranteed kind of immersive experience for one, your language or just culture, and then, I mean, we have some students that have some lifelong friends and they'll come back and visit, or the family go visit them. So, and we've worked with these families for 20 years almost, since the beginning, some of these families. So it's a nice way. Not for everybody, because it is definitely different than having your own privacy in your own room with peers, but it's an option. And the last option, I believe, is off-campus housing, or maybe I got on-campus housing on there again. Okay, well, off-campus housing is basically, you got a large range. Just a word of caution, because Craigslist and all that stuff is you just gotta be careful, but you're adults. So, but if you want any help with that, you can let us know. And here's what I'm excited to talk about. So if you like the outdoors, San Diego, North County, San Diego, and the places nearby are great. This book is awesome. Somebody recommended it to me when I first moved here, A Foot in a Field in San Diego. I recommend it to all students. You can get it at the library. It gives you a lot of history and a lot of talks about the hikes. Encinitas I talked about. The middle picture, middle top is Potato Chip Rock in Poway. That's a great hike. Recommend doing it in the morning because it gets crowded during the day. Snowboarding at Big Bear. That's not too far away, about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive uphill. So make sure you have a car that can do that. Bottom left is Balboa Park. And that has a large, it's just such a cultural center of San Diego. Lots of museums, art galleries, and just a fantastic park. It's right next to where the San Diego Zoo is as well. In the middle bottom, that's Joshua Tree National Park. Our outdoor recreation is a fantastic, very affordable trip and a bonding experience that they organize with American and international students. And springtime in Joshua Tree is magical. The stars are just transport you to almost another dimension. It's incredible. And then nightlife in downtown San Diego, the gas lamp in the bottom left. If you enjoy that side of life, it definitely delivers. And okay, next one. Yeah, this is just a snapshot of a student that he was actually from Germany, but just kind of a montage of his experience. He put that together. You could see everything that he did there. And then I believe that's it. Yep. Okay. Woo.
Well, thank you very much, Grant and Boris. That was nice. So you guys can definitely just type some questions if you have them right now. I have gotten a few to me privately, so I'll just go through those. So the first question is, can I change my major? So in the case that you end up going to a university and you end up not liking what you're studying, is it possible to change your major?
Boris, do you want, I can take it if you want, or if you'd like.
Go ahead. I mean, yeah, short answer is yes, but Grant, yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, short answer is yes. It's easy to do. It might delay your time to graduation, because depending on your math, so for example, if you're changing from a science and mathematics field to like literature, you know, and you've already started down a math sequence, you know, you might have to take more math, things like that. But yeah, you're not really held to, and you could be undeclared too. A lot of students don't know that. You don't have to choose a major right off the bat because you got to do your lower division general education. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to build on that, so usually that's what you do during your first 2 years. You work on your, you know, GED and your general education requirements, and that's also when you can venture out and just see what fits your need, what fits your needs. So you can just be mindful, as Grant said, it might delay if you already start out with a certain major and it's very specific. Those courses might not necessarily that you already took always translate and count towards your new switched major. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, generally it's possible.
Okay, second question. So what do students usually do, or where do they go during spring break? Fun question.
That's a great question. So, so first of all, you know, I don't think I've mentioned that I myself was born and raised in Germany. So I've been living in Los Angeles now for about close to 10 years. So closing in on a decade. It's been a great time. Springtime is always awesome. Cool thing about springtime is that we here in Southern California, we always joke around. There are basically two seasons in California during the whole year, and that is summer and more or less spring. Because, you know, during spring, sometimes you get some rainy days, but that's pretty much about it. And the weather is phenomenal even during spring. As Grant said earlier, Joshua Tree is phenomenal. That is about 2 hours away from LA. I think it's about 1.5 hours from San Diego, or 1 hour away. I just did that in April, right after some of the national parks opened up again this year after, you know, COVID-19. Was always a little bit tricky because most national parks had to close down. This one's open because you can drive through it. For the most part, you don't have to necessarily, you know, stand close to anybody else. And it's just a beautiful destination. Spring, otherwise, what would I do? I would go up to either Big Bear, which is in the San Bernardino Mountains, which is basically a resort where you have a little lake in the middle, Big Bear Lake. And you can go snowboarding there if you're into winter sports, and I assume quite a few of you might be, because you have that available in Norway, of course, as well. Other than that, I personally love to go to either Lake Tahoe or to Mammoth, which are ski resorts in the Sierras, just fairly close, well, up north. Takes about 4 to 5 hours of driving. If you have a good car, please make sure that your car is definitely set to drive in winter conditions. But that's definitely something you should do. Lake Tahoe is beautiful. It's actually one of the oldest lakes in Northern California, also one of the deepest lakes in the world. And it does have casinos. Is right on the California and Nevada border. But so you can gamble, but at the same time, you can also just go into the mountains in spring, specifically in early spring, and still do some snowboarding. They have fresh powder up there. It's just really a great location. And a lot of you might not know that. A lot of people, specifically if you haven't been to California yet or to, let's say, LA, we are surrounded by mountains. A lot of people think it's flat, there are beaches around, but actually when you land, the first thing you will notice is that you are almost like in a little valley in a basin, right? The LA basin, and even down if you go to San Diego, we are all surrounded by those mountains. So you do see mountain ranges when you fly in, you fly over mountains. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. Santa Barbara, hiking, wine tasting, literally anything is possible, except you have to be careful with, you know, pandemic. So Grant, I don't know if you have anything else. I was
just going to say from student, it's always Cancun, Mexico. It's Lake Havasu in Arizona. I mean, you'll get a quick sense of where most students go during those periods. But yeah, Las Vegas is another, some do a Grand Canyon trip during that time. It's things that are close enough to do it because your spring break is usually a week. So it's usually, you know, it's something you could achieve and have a good time within a week. But I would say those are the top. San Francisco, sometimes some will do it like a Northern California trip, or do like Boris said, drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, go to Big Sur, you know, camp, or do it. So yeah, but yeah, it's if you have questions, either of our offices usually can guide you to resources.
And before I forget, also pretty awesome time if you want to check out Hawaii. I mean, LAX is one of the hubs, and I think you have plenty of flights from San Diego International Airport as well, going towards and heading towards Hawaii. So if you want to check Hawaii out, it's pretty much, you know, not necessarily once in a lifetime opportunity, but it can be. And since you're on the West Coast, that might be a trip to consider. You should find some affordable flights, and it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, also a very beautiful place.
Okay, so there's a different question here. There's a student who's currently studying in Norway, and she's wondering if it's possible to take 2 semesters at in San Marcos through my school. That's the question. That was a little bad phrase for me. But I think you should probably email me, or if you're in contact with a different advisor, we can definitely look into that, and I think that should be possible. Anyways, so can I work while studying?
Grant, you wanna? Well, it depends. So, sorry, either way.
You go ahead.
So, as an undergraduate or as a degree-seeking student, yes, you can work on campus for up to 20 hours a week. That is what your F1 visa will allow you to do. That's the immigration status that you will hold as an F1 visa, a student visa. Usually, that's the most common case. That's the visa that you will obtain. Now, for that visa, so that means you can work on campus jobs. There might be student assistant jobs, things like that, and that is for up to 20 hours a week as a degree-seeking student. For our semester students, because that's a little bit different, they usually cannot do that. So our semester students, so any short-term type of programs, that's usually something that you cannot do, unfortunately. And quite honestly, also, I haven't really seen a semester student or a, you know, even if that student is here for 2 semesters, who even asked about working, because there's so much you want to do during that semester or during your time here in Southern California that it simply would not really warrant working on this side. So, but for degree-seeking students, absolutely, it's a possibility. However, keep in mind, you cannot work off campus, not a chance. So please don't do that. That would be against immigration rules. So anything off campus, you cannot do. So just keep that in mind, please. Grant, anything I missed?
No, that's pretty much right on the money. Yeah, I mean, we've had sometimes with study abroad students, if they've studied for 2 semesters and they really like hit it off with a professor, and they have a blended or matching research interest, and the professor likes the student a lot, they might be given a research internship, but that's been, you know, not that many get that. So yeah.
Cool.
So I know that you mentioned it briefly, but what is the climate like during winter time?
So,
Does it get cold?
It doesn't get cold. So I, in my 10 years, 9 years, I should say, sorry, got here in 2011. So during that time, I have never seen it freeze, in at least in LA. It simply doesn't happen, at least within the last 9 years. So who knows, there might be an off year. So it never gets below freezing. I know we are working, if you come from a, and I hope nobody's taking offense, but if you come from a logical metrical system with Celsius and everything kind of makes sense, to Fahrenheit, so freezing over here is 32 Fahrenheit. It can be a little bit tricky to figure that out and what corresponds to what, but usually during winter time, temperatures might go down and dip down into the 40s. So that's roughly, let's say, single digit Celsius, so maybe 5, 6 Celsius. It might be a little bit rainy on some days. We had, as Grant mentioned, a fairly rainy winter last time around in February and January and sometimes in December. But these are more or less the only months it really rains consistently or can rain consistently. I asked my Alexa, my personal assistant here, just recently, hey, what's the last time it actually rained in Los Angeles? And I think that answer was at the beginning of May, briefly, and that was just a drizzle. Since then, it hasn't rained, and now we're closing in on November. So that's usually what you see even during spring. I mean, there's plenty of sunshine, and when I say 360 days of sun, that means that you at least will always at some point be able to glimpse sun, even on a cloudy, rainy day. you know, there's always more often than not, the sun will break through at some point. So temperature-wise, Brent, what would you say? I'd say probably anywhere from 5 Celsius if it's a really cold day, up to, you know, you do have days when it's 25 Celsius during winter. Not uncommon.
Yeah, it's good for you guys as visitors to not have rain, but for us that live here, we need some water. We need the we're so happy, or at least I am when it rains. Yeah. But I got to tell you, if you're driving here, people don't know how to drive in the rain. They kind of
they do not.
What is this rain? So yeah, be careful. Cuidado.
Yes, please do. It's crazy. If it rains here, it literally, and you guys are used to rain, you guys are used to snow, so you know how to drive on those conditions. People over here do not. If it rains, they will slow down to a crawl. So be very careful. Even if it's just a drizzle, people just.
And if you're looking at other places of California, keep in mind it's very different across California. It's a big, long, wide state. So if you're going to Fresno, or you know, where I grew up in Northern California, extremely dry, hot summers, and then it does get fairly cold. We get what's called the Thule fog, where the fog just kind of rests at chest level. It's kind of cool to see, but yeah. So just it's not all across California, but definitely in Southern California region. It's everything that we're talking about, but there's no guarantees with weather either. Learn this. That's true.
So you guys can just keep writing questions if you would like to. I think that was mostly it. Would you mind telling a little bit more about how students stay connected? How do they make friends, like clubs, etc.? How do people meet people?
Go ahead, Boris.
Yeah, super easy. So for us, we are actually, and I forgot to mention that earlier, we're one of the most diverse, our student body is one of the most diverse student bodies in the US. So our campus is super diverse. You'll find people from all walks of life with all types of different cultural backgrounds, very international to begin with. It's very easy to make friends, to meet other, be it international students or American students on our campus. So yeah, what I suggest doing is go check out some of those student clubs, over 300 clubs and organizations. Go see if you can join. Go see if you are interested in joining a fraternity. That's a very, very surefire way to make new friends. Joining fraternities or sororities, that is definitely a possibility as an international student, especially as a degree-seeking student, but even as a semester student. I have seen semester at CSUN students join sororities and fraternities as well, specifically if you stay for 2 semesters instead of 1 semester. So they are very excited about international students. You will notice that a lot of people here are. It is actually a bonus if you come from somewhere else, because, you know, people will want to talk to you, will want to learn more about how are things in Norway, what do you do on a regular basis. You might sometimes get questions that you may regard as a little bit silly if people are not as familiar with Norway or with Europe in general. But overall, it's just, you know, people are very friendly and very interested in other cultures. So it's super easy to do.
So last question, unless anything else shows up.
I'm not sure if Grant wanted to answer.
Oh, sorry.
That's pretty much, that's right on the money. Yeah, I mean, we actually have an app that connects people now. You just swipe left and swipe. No, I'm just kidding. You can do those things, but you can also, yeah, everything Boris said. But it is so important, and I know it's tough, right? Especially right when you get here and everything's kind of new and you're nervous and anxious. But what Boris said, just get involved. Those first, you know, really that first month is really, especially if you're only studying for a semester, that first month is so key in. Because the university will do a lot of events, a lot of connectors, a lot of that type of thing. And our office, I know, is probably sure Boris's is we're real strong at getting you to go to those events, even if you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that, and facilitating those initial conversations, because they really take off. And you know, there's other kind of programs like conversation partners programs that we link international students with each other. Some students will have to do service learning projects with an international student. So there's the informal and the formal, but just really it's key. A lot of it, you get what you put in your experience. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
And I saw that a couple of other questions came in, but just to add to that, and I think, Grant, you have that too, we do have an office on our campus that organizes student trips. We call it Outdoor Adventure. It is a great place to go to. If you don't know how to surf, go to Outdoor Adventure, sign up for the next surfing trip, meet other students. You know, you will all learn together how to surf. You can laugh about each other's attempts if you like to, or, you know, just get that experience. You can go hiking together. You can check out the Grand Canyon National Park. They do have also certain hiking destinations that you would not go to, guaranteed, that you wouldn't even know about that it exists, but they do have those trips organized. It's super inexpensive to attend these events for students. They have a special student discount. Best way to make new friends and get to know any, you know, other people is just by go on a trip together, and you will be friends afterwards. So.
Sorry about that.
No
it's all teaching online at the moment.
Large percentage at Cal State San Marcos. Yeah, everything for this fall, it was all you know, only 18. I keep saying 18. Only 8, one digit. 8% of classes were face to face, and it's looking like to be about the same for spring. That's where we're at. Cal State San Marcos. Boris?
Yeah, same for CSUN. So as you guys may know, so we're part of the CSU system. So the CSU system, it's a California state. The whole system itself is headed by a chancellor, and that chancellor makes decisions about, you know, following local guidelines, but also federal guidelines on whether or not it is safe to open up campuses due to the current pandemic. And for us, for the CSU system, it was decided that most classes should take place, if you can, virtually, and that is throughout spring of 2021. As you guys may know, unfortunately, right now in the US, the cases have been on the rise again with COVID-19, and something that we're absolutely not happy about. I know the same is true in most of Europe. I'm not sure about the cases in Norway, but I think you guys have done a pretty good job. So again, most classes are virtual throughout spring 2021. There are certain classes that cannot take place virtual. Those are usually engineering classes, classes that require laboratories and hands-on, you know, building, let's say, or just hands-on experiments. But for the majority of classes, they will be taught virtually, at least until, so spring 2021, that semester ends at the beginning of May 2021. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Are you gonna sing? I was waiting for it.
Does everybody know this song? California Dreamin', the title of this webinar? How am I supposed to gauge if people know this song? That's a good song.
I think they might be a bit too young.
Yeah? I'd recommend it. Hey, I listen to Faye Wildhagen from Norway. I got a couple of Norwegian groups that I like.
Nice.
But California Dreamin', it's a song about being cold on the eastern seaboard where Lisa Lotta went to school on that side, and dreaming about the warm weather and all that stuff that we were talking about in California. And it mentions Los Angeles too. So there's a little shout out to Boris Northridge there.
And San Marcos. So the weather, I think.
It doesn't mention San Marcos though. It doesn't. I was looking. I was gonna see if I could Wikipedia the lyrics and change them real quick, but no.
I saw that we actually had a question here regarding, nursing.
Yes.
So can I study nursing in the US and are the rules different? So I can only speak to CSUN and Grant. I'm not sure if it's different for CSU San Marcos, but nursing is, unfortunately, our nursing program is not open to international students. It's highly competitive for CSUN, and we only have about, I think, 20 spots available, and we get like 800 applications every year. It's just not open to international students itself. We do have other programs that touch on, health administration, these type of things, but nursing itself, unfortunately, for CSUN is not open to international students.
I was planning on doing that answer in Norwegian, just to,
No.
so Ja, så vi anbefaler jo i utgangspunktet ikke å ta helsefaglige utdannelser utenfor EU eller EØS, siden det kan være veldig vanskelig å få autorisasjon i Norge etter endte studier. Så når man er sykepleier eller sykepleieryrke, er omfattet av noe som heter yrkeskvalifikasjonsdirektivet, som betyr at man må få autorisasjon da, hvis man velger å få det i utlandet. Og det kan være vanskelig, så det er ikke noe vi egentlig anbefaler. Anyways.
Which is too bad, because I know Norway's got a good medicine system there. And actually, my first Norwegian student that I ever taught, yeah, I think she's a nurse now. It's like she lives in Kristiansand, I think is where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you have any scholarships available for soccer for women?
Grant, if you don't mind. So we do
You're much more experienced at this because we're fairly new to the scholarship conversation. So the good news is we have the ability now through NCAA Division II to offer scholarships, but our university's kind of in this. How do we deal with offering international recruitment, that type of stuff for athletes? But Boris, so I'm gonna take a note from you.
So, well, actually, I wish I could speak more to it. Let's put it this way. So for any athletic scholarships, our athletic department is the one who's in charge for that. And if you're looking for an athletic scholarship, you would have to contact them directly. Our website, and I'll just put it into the chat, is just gomatadors.com. That is basically the website, so www, of course, gomatadors.com. That's where you can contact and reach out to the coaches itself for athletic scholarships. Word of caution is they are fairly difficult to get. I mean, we're always excited about athletes and student athletes and even, of course, international student athletes. But a lot of times what athletic departments do here in the US is they do draft and recruit from local high schools. They do have talent scouts. So there's a lot of things that they already do on that level. Now they would be responsible to hand out and to assess scholarship potential. So what you would have to do is you would just have to fill out there is a questionnaire for the team that you're interested in or for the sport that you're interested in. And then you can fill that out and then you have to wait for the coach to touch base with you and get back to you. So that's at least how it's handled at CSUN. I wish I could help you out more, but unfortunately, I'm not really allowed even to go more into the feasibility of athletic scholarship because that's simply not my department or what I do. But there, again, are resources. You just have to go online and do a little bit of legwork yourself.
Or so you guys Division I?
We're Division I. So we have 17 NCAA Division I sport teams.
Yeah. So that's real competitive, but you have more scholarship amounts I think you could give than Division
I think we do. It is very competitive. So it would be then, of course, Division I. That's basically the stuff. Let's say if we don't have an American football team, but if you have an American football team that plays Division I, these are the guys that you see on TV here in the US. So it's a very, very competitive division. And it will take up a lot of your time, literally from nutritional advice to all kinds of things. So it's definitely a big deal. But yeah, you would have to contact gomatadors.com. So that helps.
And if I could add a few things, if you still want to play sports, there's two other areas you could play, but they don't really give scholarships. But so funding is a absolutely essential. But if it's a part of your study experience, there are other things other than, even for study abroad students, you could play on intramurals, which is probably the least competitive, but I've seen some teams out here that are pretty dang good. So, but it's more of a social gathering. Sometimes you could play co-ed, boys and girls. And then there's also club, and you guys probably have that as well, right, Boris? Like club team where you actually have to try out, and you will go travel and play other university club teams. And many of our students do that. From Norway, from Europe especially. So yeah, there's those options too.
Yeah, definitely. So 3 levels. Intramural is you can form your own club, play against other students. The club level, the sport club level is it's a little bit more semi-official and go against other universities. So that's in between universities, and then of course the quote-unquote professional level, when you go into NCAA Division I. And I saw here we also have a question from Sarah. Can you apply to stay and work in the US after you graduate? That is a tricky one, Sarah. So you would have to find a company. Well, so there are a couple of options. Let me go back. So first of all, you are right here. You know, when you come to the U.S. as an F1 student, you're here to study full time. That's your main purpose, to be in the U.S. and to study and get your degree done. Now, once you're done with that, there's an option depending on what you're studying. Specifically, if you're in the STEM field, and if you have a STEM degree, you can apply for OPT. OPT. That is optional practical training. These are programs that once you're graduated, you can apply to, and they take place with, let's say, with companies here in the US where you can get hands-on experience after you're done with your studies. So you can get that hands-on experience, practical experience, and apply your knowledge to the work environment. That is something that you could do. That would be still on an F1 visa. Now, anything past that point is, and Grant, please feel free to correct me, but anything past that point is you would have to kind of count on an employer to be able to fund you. And that funding visa is called an H1b1 visa. That is not easy to do at the moment, unfortunately. The employer, number one, really has to like you and appreciate you, and also will have to prove to the US government that no other person can do that job. So it is possible, right? It is possible in theory, but it is a little bit tricky. So yes, you can try to do that, but I don't see a whole lot of students who are able to do that, to then switch their visa status and come here employee sponsored. So Grant, I'm not sure if you want to add anything.
As the PDSO of our university, I think you did a dang good job. That covers it.
Okay,
for working.
Cool. Awesome.
I think those were all the questions. I want to thank you for participating, and thank you for everyone who wanted to look into this webinar and participate. We appreciate it. I'll send you the contact information for both Grant and Boris tomorrow, and have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for
Let me know.
joining. And